morning, good afternoon, good night, my dears. Welcome to the Worldwide Podcast, Kyrgyzstan edition. Wow, that's an amazing country because we don't know a lot about this country, actually about this region. So we began this journey with Kazakhstan. Now we are in Kyrgyzstan with our friend Anara. But before introducing her, I just want to ask, how is Guilherme? How's it going, bro? Where have you been?
Hey guys, I just been chilling to be honest. I've been sad because every time I go on Winguru to see waves to surf, they always tell me it's going to be a perfect day and then it's not. So I have not been surfing. So that is quite sad.
That's it.
But I'm very excited for this week's episode because you will be in an area that myself and probably almost all of the world doesn't know much about, and this is Kyrgyzstan, which is a very hard country to pronounce, probably the hardest name
It is.
in all of the world to pronounce in country-wise.
So
So
far
yeah,
in
we
our
have
podcast, for sure. Yeah.
for sure. So we have our guest Anara. How are you doing? Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. And yeah, that's how it pronounced and how it
Nice shirt.
spells Kyrgyzstan. I have my t-shirt from my country today, and I'm doing really well. I was really excited to have this podcast with you guys. It's been a long time. And actually, I was in the office today. I was working from office, and actually, I'm still here because we have nice meeting room and big computer and the camera. So I decided to stay and have a conversation with you right here.
Awesome.
Well,
I
we
wanna
got
actually-
lucky, Guy. You see, people are getting ready for our podcast. You see how
Oh,
you're
trust me.
privilege.
As soon as they see a name that they don't know, they're like, "Oh my god, I gotta know about this country! I'm so excited." But actually, there is. So I do want to start here because there is one big thing that I know about your country, and it's a video that went insanely viral. I think it was last year, for 1 week on Twitter. I'm sure you know about it, but before I talk about this video, I just have to say I'm gonna make a claim, and I just want you to comment on it because I feel like most people are gonna think about this. So my
Okay.
claim is
Yeah.
the area below Kazakhstan and above Afghanistan is the least known part of the world. I just want you to say if you agree with this, or do you think that there's other people or other areas that are like, oh, maybe this area is less known than my one? What do you think?
I partially agree because I haven't met like so many people who know about this country. When I pronounce the country name, they always like, what? Or like, where? Or wow. So I always get this kind of emotions and reactions. So I would partially agree that, yeah, that not many countries and not many people know about that area. But surprisingly, nowadays, I also met some people who already know the country. So maybe by time it will, like the information about the country will spread around the world. So yeah, I would say partially agree. But I'm sure there are so many little or unknown countries as well, which are even I don't know. So
For sure. I
you
was
might.
thinking like some of the Australian islands, the oceanic islands. I was thinking, do people know more about that thing, that area, or like Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, all these areas? They're like so many people. They think your country is very Arabic because they will associate it with
Yeah.
Afghanistan,
Oh,
but it's completely the opposite. It's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
not that. That's why I feel like this area with these 4 countries below Kazakhstan, they're like the least well-known or the least known countries.
I mean, lack of information, right?
What's the culture,
Even the
religion,
language.
habit, language?
The
Yes.
language, yeah.
Exactly. I can tell you one story when I was back in my bachelor studies in Cyprus, actually. So there were like, I had many friends from Nigeria, from Africa. And when we first met, they were asking like, okay, what's your name? Where you come from? And they thought that I'm I might be from South Korea or from Korea, from China, Japan, etc., etc. And once I just told them as a joke that yeah, I'm from Korea, South Korea, and then okay, and for a while they just thought that I'm from Korea. And once I started to talk in Russian with my other friends, and they were like, "How?" So they were so much surprised, like, you look Asian, you're from South Korea, but why do you speak Russian? So yeah, it's a very surprising like fact that
Yeah.
people from Stan, like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, they speak Russian, and there is a reason for that, but not many people know about that.
Because of the Mongolian like heritage in a way, right? If I'm not mistaken, it all comes from that.
What you mean? Why we speak Russian?
Just also just the way you look and
The way
and the way
you
you
look and
behave in
your
a way.
expressions and kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I guess it all comes from that North China and Mongolian part because
From Mongolian part, I would say.
yeah, because it all comes to that dynasty history part of
Genghis
like
Khan.
Genghis Khan. That's I mean, if you ask something
Yeah.
about Mongolia,
That's
people just
true.
Genghis Khan. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
But
Genghis
yeah,
Khan.
that is
But the reason why we speak Russian, it's because a long time ago, actually, we were, I don't know how to say it correctly, but we were part of Soviet Union. And that's why until now, our official second language is considered as Russian. And we still like speak it, practice it. We have Russian schools, Russian teachers, etc. So it's our second language.
Now, the thing that I was gonna ask you if you knew about it, and I feel like a lot of people know just this exact video from your country. So it was a video that got very popular of an avalanche of some British people that were visiting some mountains on your country, and they were filming this avalanche.
Oh yeah.
And they almost got obliterated because the avalanche was so far away.
No,
But they thought,
it.
okay, oh, you haven't.
Yeah,
After the pod, you have to. After the pod, you have to.
I got
It's
to. I got
insane
to.
because they see the avalanche going towards them, but they think like the avalanche is super far away and it's not gonna hit them. But then a couple seconds later, they're like, oh wait, maybe not, and then they have to hide under a rock, and the avalanche goes above them. It's so terrifying.
Yeah.
Wow. And people got very fascinated because it was on your country that nobody knows much about, and also it was British tourists, so they were like, oh, there's tourism in this area. That's interesting.
Actually, that's a good video that made good marketing on our country. well, fortunately, nobody got
died.
hurt.
Yeah.
That's a big fortunate because we have really high mountains, and especially during winter time, like there is a huge, I don't know, the ice on top of the mountains, and it can be pretty dangerous for those who like to travel and who like to skiing, etc. So they were really lucky, I would say.
Yeah, and not only avalanches. I've heard that there are lots of volcanoes active there. I mean, I'm not sure in Kyrgyzstan, but in this region of Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, I actually hear a lot that there are lots of volcanoes active right there in this part of the world.
Well, I'm not sure because I never had an experience with
going close to a volcano.
Yes, actually, I never had. I
Fortunately.
don't think. Maybe there are some, but they're not really active.
All right.
But I'm not. I can't comment on this. Sorry.
Nah, no worries, no worries.
I mean, but there was one thing that kind of makes like a similarity between the Arabic countries and your countries. I mean, I'm saying yours just to kind of include the other three, but obviously yours has its own thing. That's why it's a country. But you guys are also Muslim, but it's a different type of Muslim. It's called Sunni Muslims.
Sunni, yeah,
right?
Because I think there are several like types of Muslim or groups, I would say. Well, and 80% of the people in the country are Muslims. Yeah, the rest are like Christians and the small religions like Buddhism. I think there is small percentage of it, but yeah, 80% are Muslims. But I would say, well, if I share my own experience and my family experience before, since we had Russian influence, my family, they were not kind of really Muslims, because what, let's say, being a real Muslim is like praying 5 times, and there are many things like they don't really do, and we never had that experience that we were first forced to pray or to follow some other Muslim rules. And it also became only later on that we started to follow some of the rules. For example, my dad used to, he was not praying, but he used to read Quran. So we read Quran for relatives who are already died, and we kind of try to give them some memory, and just remember them. So we have some part of the Muslim, like, I don't know, rules, but we don't really like 100% follow them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It happens the same in Turkey, actually. The Turkish people say that they're the Muslims, they're less Muslims because they don't follow, strictly the rules.
Yeah, it really depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would say that because of that modern influence, it was more like mixed, not like 100% like in Arabic countries. And especially if we go back to the historical route, like long time ago, we didn't have really this Muslim religion. We were, for example, believing in sky. So we had this kind of another type of religion. So
Pretty
it
cool.
was not really, Muslim religion. So it's, I would say, very mixed.
It's very nature based out, right? Because your country is based on the nomad life. I also heard that most people, they don't live in cities; they live actually in the in the rural areas. And so
we have like 7 regions.
Yeah, so I feel like your country is very nomad in that way. So that's why probably you don't have the same type of Muslim religion as the Arabic countries, and you kind of appreciate these nature-based elements a little bit more, because it's the way that your country, again, like survives and is built. Exactly.
Yeah, you were totally right. That's why we were kind of praising the sky. Tengri, it's called Tengri.
You guys might be, I know you're very nice people, but your people there from Kyrgyzstan might be very nice people, people who praise the nature, who praise things, natural stuff, natural resources. They're always pretty nice and cool.
Tourists say that we are one of the hospital people, because we have this attitude that if some foreigner comes, we try to give everything we can. We have at home, and we share food all the time. For us, it's important that we don't eat, but the foreigner eat. And that's why I think most of the tourists, they call us very hospitable people, because we just want to, we at least we try to show the better side, even though there are, of course, every nation, every country, every person has some bad sides as well, but we try to show the best out of us. So I really like this attitude of our people, I would say.
Really nice.
100%. And there is like something also, again, going back to this nomad thing, there your country hosted the World Nomad Games for a couple times.
Yes, exactly. I was there. Actually, I was working there.
Wow.
And so my sister is designer, and before the start of the game, we decided to create T-shirts, which has this national pictures and all the nomad style stuff. And we actually found the painter who was painting this nomad style ornaments, etc. And we kind of collaborated with him, and we made a T-shirt, and we printed those pictures on T-shirt, and we were selling them on that nomad game. So it was really fun, and it was one of the best experience, even for me, who is a local person. And since the game was taking place in some regions of the country, and there were so many like countries, so many people, and this atmosphere of nomad, it really felt. And I'm really happy that I was there. And we even sold like 80% of these T-shirts, because most of the foreigners were really interested in this. So it was really fun.
And it's pretty nice to receive foreigner people in your country, people that even if you didn't have this game, they would probably not go into your country. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was very good marketing, I think. Yeah, I would say. was really good, and people gave actually good feedbacks.
Oh, pretty cool. Amazing. I love
And
how when those kind of events and competitions, spread the image of the country. It happens a lot. It happened here in Rio. I mean, in 2016 when we got the Olympic Games right here, people only knew about carnival, samba, and kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In
Even
Rio.
me, I still, if I think about Brazil and I think about these carnivals and
It's
all
the
the
normal
dances.
thought. It's the normal thought. No worries. I mean, but when people came right here, they saw that the country has lots of more to show to people and lots of resources that they couldn't even imagine before coming here. So it was pretty cool when I know this feeling of, change the image of the country. And I know the feelings that you guys might had during these Nomad
Yeah,
Games.
we
So
we
wow.
were so proud. I mean,
Yeah,
this
pretty
kind
cool.
of like this kind of huge events would I think we never had this kind of big ones. So we were really proud of it.
Pretty nice.
and now just also from an outside point of view, I don't know much about these games. What does it consist on, and what kind of let's say competitions does it involve?
Mhm.
Everything.
Yeah, most of them were like nomad type of games, and we have one of the popular ones. It's called kok-boru. Kok-boru. Basically, there are like two teams. I'm not sure how many people exactly, but they are on the horses. They are riding the horses, and the goal is to catch the sheep, which is dead actually, so he doesn't have a head.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and they need to
Jesus.
catch this
Poor sheep.
sheep, and then they have a kind of gate, but it's not really gate, but it's like a huge I don't know how to call it, but it's like a hole, and you need to catch this sheep and put it into your
To the
opponent's
hole.
hole. Yes,
Okay.
and who wins the game? I think the team gets the whole sheep, and they can. I don't know if it's edible or not. Really, honestly, I don't really know. But it's pretty. It's interesting game, but it might be very cruel for those who never seen it because they might do some kind of I don't know, jumping and falling, and you can have really bad injuries. So it's pretty cruel for foreigners to see. This is one of the games. Then another one is kind of fighting game. So they need to it's I don't know, there is some rope on the vest or this part on under the stomach, I don't know, and they need to just try to fall not to fall, but put your opponent on the ground. So this I remember is another type of the game. So there are many games, and I think one of my favorites it's this kok-boru, which you need to put the sheep into the hole. I don't know why, but it's
Jesus.
entertaining.
Yeah. I mean
Maybe
every
because maybe
yeah.
because I'm local, it's for me it's fun, but I know that
Mhm.
it might not be fun for some of the people.
But that's the thing. That's culture.
Yeah,
That's really
it's
culture.
culture.
But
Alright.
I like that you have something that's very different, and it's also a way to maybe engage outsiders to visit your country when this happens again in your country, and people can be like, oh, I want to see what that's all about. The Nomad Games. People may just think it's like archery, but then they go and they have the game that you just described now, and they'll be
Yeah,
like, wow, this is crazy, it's amazing.
yeah, it is
So it is,
great.
a great way to bring tourism as well, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I've just
And
Googled it and it says that the next Nomad game is going to be in 2024, right there in Kyrgyzstan again. So wow.
oh
So
wow,
it will be in
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. So people
So
will like
guys,
listeners,
it.
you guys,
Like it.
you have an opportunity to
Wow.
see it with your eyes.
Pretty cool.
please buy the plane ticket in advance. 2024.
Yeah.
Already get
Wow.
it.
That's
amazing.
awesome actually. I could plan some trip back home.
Pretty much. And talking about it, Anara, from which part of Kyrgyzstan you were? I mean, from the capital?
uh,
Where are you from?
So we have 7 regions. I'm from the north part.
North one. Okay.
And yeah, I was born in a city close to the capital, but not in the capital. And actually, my mom and my dad are from almost the same village. That's another story which I can share with you, how my
Please,
parents met, and
please.
Sure.
that's also a part of the culture. But long time ago, nowadays, of course, it's forbidden. But kidnapping, you know, have you heard about anything about kidnapping?
I mean,
Kidnapping in
it's
Kyrgyzstan? I mean,
Bride kidnapping.
oh no, actually not.
No. Okay, that might be a cultural shock actually. So
I will let you explain it. Yes, please.
Yeah,
yeah,
please.
so
You got a room for it.
my dad, he met my mom somewhere in the village. He just first saw her, and he kidnapped her after several days or several, I don't know, a week. I'm not sure about the details, but yeah, my mom was kidnapped, and that's how they just married.
I think you have to
Okay.
explain the term of
Of
your
kidnapping.
kidnapping, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my kidnapping, it's like the movie Taken, you know. It's when someone breaks into someone's home, they tie them with some cords or something that they
Yeah, yeah.
have, some rope.
Okay,
They
that's
put
not.
them in the back
Yeah.
of their truck,
Yes,
and
bro.
they
Put
ship
a
it
tape on
to
the
the Middle
mouth
East.
as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's
Some they like
a bit
them to
different.
scream, so I don't know. But yeah, then they go to
Yeah,
the
it's
Middle East,
a bit
and other
different.
stuff happens.
There are people involved, and usually, it might be the friend of the bride who can be involved in this bride kidnapping, and the guy
Okay.
might do this sort of business through her. For example, invited two of them, or they might even know each other. And for example, a guy might invite a girl to some cinema, and after cinema, they just get in the car, and instead of driving her home, he just drives to his home. And then his relatives are waiting in his home, in his house already, already prepared with some I don't know, tables with relatives. And we have this in the room, we have kind of curtain. And once she enters the house, of course she doesn't want, but once they make her enter the room, the house, it's considered that you are already staying in the house and you will be kind of bride. So yeah, most of the cases, but of course I never been a witness. I just saw in the movies and by the stories of my parents and my grandparents. But yeah, most of the time girls like scream that they don't want marriage, etc. But at the end they end up in this room. And before it was considered a shame if you go back. So you had to stay there. So that's
Jeez.
how most of our parents, they
Met.
moms, they had to met, and they had to stay because it was shame if you go back home to your own home.
My goodness.
I mean, you
Wow.
can't get any more nomad than that. So I'll give you and your parents that. So hey,
Bro.
it is what it is. That's definitely not
So
LA style for sure.
yeah, it was like this, like that time. But of course now it's forbidden and it's against law. I mean, you can't just kidnap somebody. You
But
will be
when this started to be forbidden? Because your parents, they're kind of young.
20. My parents, they are 60,
They're
so
60.
they
Oh, so
met at
yeah,
the
they
age
are
of
young.
20. So 40
40
years
years
ago,
ago.
they, yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. So wow, pretty fresh still. Wow. That was the
Yeah.
shocking one. I mean, the sheep or the goat during that game wasn't too
Mhm.
shocking for us, but this wow, yeah. I mean, and for a woman might be very, if
I
we
think it was
think about
difficult.
the 21st
Mm,
century nowadays, all the, the fights of women running the world.
exactly.
I don't have a room for saying this, but still, I mean, in the world that we are living right now, those things can be, supported, or can be, um, more for you. I mean, like, you're living abroad, you're living in Budapest right now. We didn't say this in the pod, we have to touch in this subject already, but yeah, I mean, for you living in a foreign country, you see how shocking it is for, having
Exactly.
this
Yeah, I
kind of
know.
thing in
Hmm.
your family in the past
Hmm.
years, and how women were treated, back
Yeah,
in the
now
days.
of course, I'm totally against of it, of any kind of violence or any kind of against the woman right, especially. But yeah, that was a case. I mean, a
Yeah,
long
definitely.
time ago in my country, and well,
And it's nice for you
if
to share, because we can see how the world is changing, how things used to
Mhm.
be, and how is it today nowadays, how we are growing as people, as human being. So
Mhm.
wow. It's
Yeah,
pretty
especially in my
nice.
country now, we start to have this marches against the women's or supporting women's right and against men violence, etc. So it's good to see from one side how women are developing in my society. So it's really good to see them how it was like, let's say 40 years ago and how it is now. Now women are more educated. Of course, there is still negative things like family violence. That's very, I would say, popular in a bad terms. But if we talk about good sides, I'm really proud how women there became more educated and they stand for their rights. Yeah, but it's a good not a good, but it's a like a comparison how it
Yeah.
was and how it is now. So yeah.
Wow.
Anara, I was just picturing like a guy from Kyrgyzstan living abroad in the US and just like seeing a girl in a bar. He likes her a lot. Just waits a little bit for her to get off the bar, and he's like, "It's my time to show.
And then
Yeah,
you
and
My
call
end
your
time.
up in
parents and
Let's
jail.
talk.
grab the bag. Get
Yeah,
in the
bro.
trunk."
And
Boom.
during the truck, calling your family. Do you guys have everything preset? Have everything
Yeah.
Is
ready
the
at the
table
place?
set? I
Is
found
the
her.
table
I
set?
found the
Is the
girl.
room set? Is the curtain? Right?
Imagine in the
Wow.
US. Oh
Oh.
my God, I think he would be shot
And then the
for
girl's like,
this.
"No,
You
please."
gotcha.
He's like, "No, no, no. Trust me, I love you. You'll be my wife." And she's so confused. Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's hard to imagine that happening somewhere in Europe or US. It's insane.
I love it.
So yeah,
So
it's funny.
because it is just picturing everything. Also, I have one question.
Hmm.
Because your country is all mountains, how do you guys get around? Do you have any
Hmm.
trains, buses, horses? Do you just use horses
Horse.
since you're nomads,
Yeah, we still
basically?
use horses to get to school.
Really?
No,
That's
I'm
that's
Vehicle.
joking.
damn it.
You
Don't do
got
that to me, Anara.
you
Come
got
on. I was
blackmailed, Guilherme.
God damn.
Well,
Breaking
well, in the
stereotypes,
in
bro.
the villages, yes. In the
Okay.
villages, I mean, there are still horses you can use to get to school, but in most of the regions, no. I mean, you have buses. We don't have metro because, like, I think because of the
Yeah,
geographical side, it's
sure.
not allowed. So buses, mini buses, taxi cars.
Mm.
That's all. And a fun fact that I think we have doubled of the amount of the cars than the amount of the people living in the country. So,
Wow. So you got
so
lots of
if
cars
it's
for them.
so if we say that the one family might have like 3 cars, 4 cars, that's insane because there is a huge traffic on the roads.
Oh wow.
I can imagine. And how is the flight
So yeah.
tickets there? Is there any low cost company
Unfortunately,
flying?
there is only one, which is Pegasus. It
Pegasus
flies
is
from
Turkish, right?
it flies from Turkish to Turkey from Sabiha Gökçe Airport, and that's the only I think low cost. But we
Yeah,
don't have such
but
like
inside the country.
Ryanair or not really,
Okay.
not really. And unfortunately, from Budapest as well, we don't have direct flights. We need to stop either in Turkey or Moscow, but I think in Turkey most of the
Mm.
time, and it's
Okay.
8.5 hours to fly overall
Oh,
from
it's not that bad actually. Yeah.
from Budapest.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
But
I
expensive,
thought it was gonna
right?
be
I
worse.
mean, if you want to go to the
Yeah, I
country.
think it's 2 ways from Budapest, for example. It's 500 euro around,
Yeah, it's kind of
like that.
expensive if you compare to other fares, low cost fares.
Yeah,
And it's kind
it
of
is.
shitty because inside the country, the distance are too big. I mean, it's very hard to get from the west side to the east side of Kyrgyzstan. So
Hmm.
if you don't have any, flight companies flying and doing this, this trail
Well,
might be very, very
mm-hmm.
hard to get.
Yeah, it is. But we have so one of the biggest regions is south north, and from north to get to south, it might take like 13, 14 hours by car, I think.
Car.
But there is a flight. Yeah, there is a flight. It's I think 30, 40 minutes flight from north part to south part. That's how you can get easily. But the rest you need to take taxi or a car. Have a car.
Mm. I mean, yeah. I was I was thinking, so have you traveled to the countries that are neighboring you? For example, Tajikistan. I'm gonna pronounce all of them wrong, by the way, but Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and
Uzbekistan.
Turk Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan. Yeah, I traveled to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, and it was I had a business trip through working. Otherwise, I don't think I would travel because um not because, but yeah, I had a working trip to Kazakhstan, and we went to south part of Kazakhstan, and south part is very close to Uzbekistan. So that's how I
Yeah.
actually decided to go to Uzbekistan for one day, and it was a really good experience. Well, I think once you are well, for me personally, I think I wouldn't travel on purpose to neighboring countries because I might be more interested on foreign countries, like to go
Yeah.
far, and I think I
Sure.
wouldn't go, but that's my personal preference. But yeah, many people started to travel around because, for example, Uzbekistan became very attractive to tourists, and there are many tours from my country to Uzbekistan, and it's worth it. But yeah, me personally, I think I would try to travel somewhere far from my country
Mhm.
just to experience different culture, because we might have the same culture, and that's not really like a priority for me to explore.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was gonna ask. Do you see any like key differences from
Your
Kyrgyzstan and the
neighbors
other
countries.
neighboring
Mm,
countries? Would you say?
maybe Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan and Turkmenistan, maybe there might be differences, but with Kazakhstan, I wouldn't say we have like that many differences, only if in terms of the country, the size of the country, the amount of people, and how economically is developed. Yeah, there is a difference between Kazakhstan. It's much bigger and more developed because
Yeah,
they have more resources, and definitely the oil.
and well known. Yeah.
Yeah, and well known. Comparing to Tajikistan, as I know, it's more like politically and geographical, historic, not historic. Yeah, politically, they're kind of closed country, and they have different regime comparing to Kyrgyzstan, because in Central Asia, in that part of the world, we are considered more democratic country.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh,
and
very nice.
yeah, I think one of the democratic countries, and we have this free of speech, uh, comparing to Tajikistan, for example. So yeah, there are key differences between Tajikistan, I would say, but not
Is
Kazakhstan. Yeah.
is that country a bit more conservative, as you were
Yes.
saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes, a
Okay.
bit more conservative. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm.
pretty cool. So you guys are
And
open actually, if you
Yeah,
compare.
I think we are very open
Yeah,
in terms of the politically,
mm,
historically, and how we treat people, also how we want to get more, I mean, to learn more, and how we want to invite more people to know the country. So in terms of this, I think we are more open.
for
pretty cool.
sure. Do you get a lot of the stereotype of this area of the world? People think it's always on war. Like people think it's getting bombed daily. People think they're always
Mm,
fighting for territory, which I'm not sure, but could be possible. But do you get when you introduce your country, people ask, "Oh, is it dangerous? Is it always war?" Because of the end of the word "an."
mhm.
Because again, going back to the first thing I said, people are going to associate your country to Afghanistan, which is
Afghanistan,
obviously
yeah.
Mm,
country that people are known to know that causes wars and all that stuff.
honestly, no.
Oh, pretty
Okay.
cool.
Well, I never heard anything about this bombing and this war stuff when I say about Kyrgyzstan. The first thing they might ask about horses. That's a stereotype
Horses,
The horse
that
yeah.
we
meat.
have.
The
The
horse
horse
meat.
Yeah,
meat.
the horse
Yes.
meat, the riding on the horse. Like, do you have a transportation, or you're still riding on the horse? So the same question I got from you. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's a
That's awesome.
stereotype we have, but
Stereotype.
yeah, not
Yeah.
about the wars, fortunately.
Fortunately, yeah, because that's what we got right here. I mean, there in Brazil, I mean, here in Brazil, people like when thinking about this side of the world, the first thing that comes to mind is the war and how things
Hmm.
are working right there. Do you still have the dictatorships and kind of stuff? That's how people here in the west side of the world, they do think about those countries. So it's nice to bring people from this part of the world to break those stereotypes and show, you know, the true side of the country itself.
For sure. And I really only asked this because I was very curious what people knew about your country. And I asked 4 different people what they knew about Kazakhstan. Kyrgyzstan. I'm gonna slaughter my words so much with his name. My God, Kyrgyzstan. And they asked me if he was like next to Afghanistan, and they asked if he was with war with and if it was populated by Arabic people. You know, all these
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
those
it's insane.
stereotypes.
It's insane. You would be surprised how many people just think like this about this area, because they absolutely do not know. I mean, if you presented yourself again, as you said, these people would think you would be from South Korea, maybe China, but they would never say from Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan and whatever.
Wow, that's
But we
interesting.
do
Actually,
have, but we do have the platform, and we have Anara, which is an amazing guest to share the right information to our listeners. So you listener, if you thought before I started this podcast that Kyrgyzstan was bombed every single day, or people still eating horses every single day, or riding horses to school, you're not doing right. So you have to listen better.
Oh, they still
You
eat
reach this
horses, that's for sure.
No,
You
they
guys
do it. They
love
do
horse
it.
meat.
They do it.
You
They do
guys
it.
love
Yeah,
horse
yeah.
meat, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, forget
And
about it.
fermented horse milk as well. I didn't
oh
forget that
yeah,
about the Kazakhstan episode that we did. The
Yeah,
fermented.
yeah,
I,
yeah. In
I,
Kazakhstan,
I
they are
still,
eating lots of horse meat in there.
I still have a horse meat in my fridge actually in
Wow.
Budapest.
How do you get that?
So my friend arrived like
Shops.
3 weeks ago. No,
Oh,
he
yeah.
actually brought it from Kyrgyzstan.
Is it
Yeah,
allowed?
of
Wow.
course.
Okay.
It is loud, and it's well, it's like a sausage, so it's kind of fermented,
Okay.
right? And he brought it like without any problems, and I was very surprised because for us it's like a huge gift, you know.
Oh, cool.
I was so much surprised and very happy that he brought me that. So
Because
yeah,
it's
I had it
nostalgic, right? And you miss it when you're
exactly.
trying this
I miss
flavor of horse.
I miss food. Yeah, a lot of
So
loud
since you
food.
brought this topic, let's talk about yourself. Let's talk about your personal experiences. Why did you decide to go to Budapest, to move from Kyrgyzstan to Budapest? And also one thing, how was your childhood? How did you like to grow up there in Kyrgyzstan? And when was the time that you moved from your country to Hungary to Budapest?
Mhm. Here I moved 3 years ago. I moved because I wanted to have some international experience. I mean, I wanted to study abroad, and that was actually a good program. It's called Stipendium Hungaricum, and I applied for this scholarship program. I got accepted, and I said, like, why not? If it's Europe, it's a country I've never been, I never experienced, and like I'm open. I just grabbed my stuff and I just moved to Europe. Of course, I was crying for 3 days because I was I was thinking maybe I shouldn't leave my country, my family, and it was sad because I knew that I'm
I know the feeling.
sacrificing. Yeah, I'm sacrificing many things, and I won't be close to my family anymore. So yeah, I literally cried for 3 days, and then I just like, okay, if that's what you want, then just do it. So I did it, and I ended up here. But yes, most of my childhood time I spent in Kyrgyzstan. I was not really traveling until the age of 21. And when I was 21, yeah, first time I traveled to Moscow for summer holidays. And before that, it was just Kyrgyzstan, moving between my grandparents during summertime and school and university. And actually, when I talk about childhood, I really love this topic because my childhood was very happy.
Nice.
And I don't know, maybe because I was the youngest child in the family. So I have 2 sisters, and usually the youngest one are very privileged. And maybe that's why
Yeah.
I had a very happy childhood. Maybe my sisters wouldn't agree with me. It's because somehow my parents were stricter with them than with me. So I spent my childhood in a city not far from the capital, and my father was army in an army, or how it called,
Army, yeah.
army guy. Yeah, army guy, let's say. And we were living in a little small town, which was especially for the army guys and their families. So we had our own little bus, which was especially for the children to go to the school and to come back. So I really loved my childhood. I think because of how uh, f- how my parents raised me, how I was like very loved. They shared a lot of love, a lot of support when I was a child, and I really like to talk about my childhood, especially in school time, because I was like a bad girl.
Ooh,
bad girl,
okay. Let's talk about that. Being a rebel. What did you rebel about?
bad girl
Talk
in the
to us.
terms that since in my family we have only girls, and my father always wanted a boy, so he was kind of I think he expected that he will have a boy, but here we are again, I'm a girl.
Oh my girl again.
Yeah, so and he was kind of raising me in a way that I need to protect myself, that I need to be strong and brave, and he influenced my childhood very much. So he was teaching me how to fight, how to throw the knives.
Are you
I
gonna
know
tell us
it's
that you
big.
know Muay Thai? Are you a professional Muay Thai fighter? Kickboxing?
No,
Jiu-jitsu?
no. I used to
Taekwondo?
do I used to do taekwondo, yes, at school.
Wow,
Second.
awesome. Awesome.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, somehow what he was teaching me, I really enjoyed that. He even was teaching me how to throw knives. So I still remember that.
That's
It
pretty
was
cool actually.
it was really
Free skill.
awesome. In school, I was one of the bravest one because of my father. And actually, it's a very important topic, how actually fathers can influence their daughters and how they can make them more brave. Well, that was my case. Back in school, because of my father, I was always like, I don't care what people say, what people do. I have my opinion and I can protect myself. So that's why I very enjoy my school time. My mother's influence was that you need to study well, you need to behave well, and on this side I was good at school. I was always receiving good marks and good girl in that terms, but I was always bad in a way that I was fighting with boys, I was fighting with
Hmm.
girls, and I don't know if you have it, but at school, at class, you usually
Troublemaker.
have a kind of president of this class,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we
We do.
do.
We
Yeah,
do. We
we
do.
do have the same.
the this ironic thing is that I was the president of the class, but at the same time, once I was in the corner, standing in the corner because I was behaving bad. So that was my
You were the
personality.
leader. You were the leader.
Exactly.
You didn't have
They knew
anyone to fight
not
for
to
you. You were
mess.
fighting for people. So yeah,
Exactly.
So
They knew they couldn't mess with you. So they were like, you're
yeah.
gonna be our main girl. You're
yeah,
She was
her.
the
so
You're gonna
boss.
be
You were the
her.
boss. Yeah, you're gonna
that
be her.
and I like that feeling that I have some influence, and I really enjoyed that kind of feeling. And I think that's why my childhood was full of fun. And later on, like at the age of 13, 14, I started to be interested in football. So I was playing football with boys because
Ooh,
girls don't play football. So we didn't have really many girls who played football, but we were doing it with our classmates. And I even was thinking about doing professionally, but my parents, of course, didn't allow me to do that because it's not really for girls. And that's how I ended up in financial college, doing counting money, doing business, and all this financial stuff.
The boring stuff.
the
Yeah,
boring
yeah, I would
stuff.
say it's kind of boring stuff. Yeah, but before that, yeah, my childhood was very, very colorful, I would say.
But even your dad, he wasn't support you to play football because he seems to be very open. I mean, teaching you boys stuff. So
He
how
was
was
always
your
open. He's still open to what
mhm.
I really want. But
The
yeah, it was, I
society
think,
was not
yeah,
too welcoming.
that's the bad thing, that we are very much influenced from the society. What we do,
Yeah.
what we say, it's
Mm,
it's always like based on the society, and this still exists. Like what people say. That's
Yeah.
the very common proverb in my country, uh, our parents and friends, they always say what people say,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what people say, so don't do it, you know.
They'll try to
So
dictate your path based on like it's kind of fear in a way, because they'll say, oh, but what this person will think of you if
mhm,
you play football, and this person,
exactly.
fear disguised in a way, you
Mhm,
know. It's interesting that you talked a little bit about female football, because the countries that have the most quality in football are always the countries that have the biggest stigma on female football. Do you know what is
mhm.
the leader of female football in the world? The country.
Not really.
It's the United States of
Yeah,
America.
it's
They
the
have the
US.
best female team
Wow.
in football. And you know
Mhm,
what? Sport is not really popular in the US, football or
mhm.
soccer for them. So it's interesting how
It's
it plays
also.
out, right? How is
Mhm,
this country, which is also like based a lot on culture, so in a way it would maybe be worse, or be more for them to say that girls shouldn't play football, soccer, but because of how they're built and how they brought soccer to their country, they just said no, girls, they
Girls
play
should
this and
play.
they play
Yeah,
this well, and we're
mhm,
going to
yeah,
broadcast like and we're going to train and
yeah.
give money to the side of the sport to bring them up and to give them a career. Whereas, like in Portugal, if a girl plays football,
mhm,
they're a boy, you know, like the boys will make fun of her, the girls will make fun of her. She's
Yeah.
very shadowed because of this crazy stigma that exists in a lot of countries in Europe.
mhm,
Again, they're very good in football: Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, all these big countries. Um,
But I guess the
and
mindset in the US is different, right? Because, when you're a boy right there in the US, if you play soccer, if you play football right there, they will call you up, saying that you should play American football instead of soccer because soccer is for girls, you know. So
mhm,
I guess the
maybe that.
mindset helps, this, successful moment of the US female football um moment right now nowadays. I mean, it's been more than nowadays. I mean, 10 years ago, they're still one of the best teams in the world. And then you have the Nordic countries as Sweden or Norway. They're good at soccer as well for the female soccer. So
mhm,
that's why I guess they kind of brought this culture of, yeah, if you're a man, you should play American football. You should play in the NFL. You should go to a college football, not
Mhm.
not playing, the football, the soccer. And nowadays, I guess the soccer, the Major League Soccer right there is getting kind of famous. They're injecting money on the league, so it's
Mhm. A lot of
becoming more
sponsors.
popular right now, and the
I
sponsors are going
mhm,
there.
I mean, yeah, just think of this World Cup. The US was like in
Yeah,
yeah,
dominating.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
really. Where how's it called when it goes to those
to the playoffs,
sections? Yeah, 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 to the
to the
playoffs.
playoffs. Yeah,
Exactly. So I mean, that is a good thing. Imagine in Portugal, we would say soccer's for girls. Guys, they throw knives. That's our sport.
yeah.
Maybe that's the way. Hey, maybe that's the way to bring girls to play football here
Maybe.
here in Portugal. Guys, they throw knives as a sport. We don't play football. That's the girl stuff. That's like playing with balls. I don't play with balls. I play with knives. Yes, that is
Good
that is
one. That's a good line.
let's do that, Europe. Let's get it. Let's make girls play football from now on.
well, there is no
For
room,
sure.
there's no space for those things right now. And talking about this topic, we've been kind of getting to know the history of Kyrgyzstan during Anara's, experience. And how is the women rights nowadays? Let's say nowadays, it might be a taboo for you to talk about it, because you're not in your country right now nowadays. First, you have friends, you have your family right there. How is the subject right there right now?
Well, it's a honestly really sensitive topic right there because there were many bad cases. If I talk openly, there were even cases regarding the kidnapping. So there were cases why they started to, why they actually forbid that because there were fatal cases actually that the ex-boyfriend of a girl
Mm.
kidnapped her and they ended up death. So after such kind of cases, we had, um, I think people started to be more aware, especially like women, that yeah, we should do something with that. We can't just sit down and be silent, and that's a good thing, because something should start from something, right? If there was no such cases, I think we would still be silent and not talk about it at all, because that's kind of our culture, that women, they used to be more like feminine, they used to be like taking care of children, being at home, and not really having a right, because how most of the families was working, that man works and the woman takes care of the children, and she doesn't really have finances, she doesn't really have work to do beside that, she raises the children, and this way she's 100% kind of dependent of the man. So men can do anything, right? So that's actually still a case at home, and that's how there were many cases of home violence that accidentally, or maybe not accidentally, but women was killed by her husband, and woman was beaten by her husband. We have like honestly many cases of from that. And nowadays what is really good, that women started to know their rights, they started to be more open to talk about that. And if it look at the social media, that really helped in sharing such kind of news, and letting people be aware of this kind of
Yeah, giving
let's
them a
say.
platform basically,
Exactly, yeah.
and allowing them to stand up and
Mhm.
voice
Yeah.
their opinion,
And
and
there
and yeah.
were many communities who are started to be organized because of this kind of cases. So social media, yeah, it really helped in that way. So be at least aware, and be at least don't we are not silent about it. Because if, for example, one blogger with a lot of followers start to talk about it, the information spread along, and the community itself starts to help those kind of cases to be resolved, or to push it ahead. So uh, yeah, I would say it's a really good thing that it started to be developed, but still comparing to Europe, it's on a very low level. I think
Yeah.
it would take a lot of time until women will be kind of protected by the law, by the society, and just in general.
Mm,
But I guess you guys
sure.
are doing the right path, because as you said, your country is more open right now, and it's different than the other neighbors country where the dictatorship's still going on right there. So I guess you're in
Yes,
the right
and
path for,
yeah, I hope
developing
so.
those
The thing
subjects.
is that most of the things are, I think it's happening mostly on the cap and in the capital, because those regions they are still undeveloped, and
Yeah.
traditions are very strong on those regions, because the capital and the north side of the country is more, let's say, developed, more open, and the other side, the other regions are still dependent on the traditions, on the opinion of the society. So it's really hard to educate them. So, but I really hope that in the future, yeah, women and the people, they will be more girls, they will be more educated, and they will know their rights and know how to fight for their rights.
Hmm. I think having
Amazing.
a female person in government, prime minister, or some position that's big, that she can get some opinions from the public, and she can voice them
Yeah.
on television and on paper as well, for laws to be made. I think that is a good way to get that
Mhm,
happen. It is very hard, because as you said, there are some people who maybe are a little bit too traditional, and they don't want to see that happen.
mhm,
So of course, when it comes to voting, they'll probably not do that. But sometime in the future, if you do have a female person in power, maybe that will be a bit better, having more repercussions and consequences for actions that are taken on men to women,
Yeah.
mhm.
when it comes to diminishing them, and just putting them lower than them, and not having equality between both. So yeah.
Yeah, that they it might be helpful, but it's again, it's a big issue in the parliament because the majority of those who are sitting there are men, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to have a pass to get there. You need to have either how it called some we call it like support.
Yeah.
So it's not that transparent to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's
hard
another
for sure.
issue.
100%. And just going back to the tourism part a little bit, I know that there's a very and going a little bit further from this topic, there's also something that like kind of brings some tourism as well, besides everything that we talked about. It's something called the Silk Road, which I've heard it's very ancient.
Hmm.
It used to connect Europe to Asia, if I'm mistaken, like trading wise.
Yeah.
And across that road, it has a lot of landscapes actually.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
maybe you can talk about it, but maybe there's like a touristic routes to go across this road and to sightsee these landmarks.
Hmm. I'm not sure if there is like a good set road through to see the Silk Line, but I know that there are some places not far actually from my city. There is kind of a little castle. It's not really castle because it's almost like a ruins, but that they say that that was one of the first this little houses for traders in the
Mm,
Silk Road. So we still have um, little yeah places, but it's not really fully set. So you might
mhm.
find some, but it's not like it was before. And I think I'm not good at this topic because
Yeah, no.
I didn't even go to that place by myself. I just know that this one famous place because it's not far from my city.
Hmm. So yeah, but maybe there could be some good excursions for people to do it there, since it's like something very Asian. It has history as well.
Yeah,
Maybe.
definitely there are. Yeah, but
Mm.
maybe not that much.
Yeah, it's probably as you said, just some ruins, like
Yeah,
next to the actual road. So yeah,
probably because it was really far. I mean,
yeah.
long time ago.
I mean, I can only imagine like a route that connected Europe to Asia for just trading. And again, these people they actually rode horses to trade stuff between
Yeah,
Camels.
back in the days,
continents.
yeah.
Yes, camels, every single thing. It's crazy. And then connecting to the Caspian Sea, probably as well. And then doing that route to Azerbaijan and then going to Armenia. And then,
Yeah,
Jesus,
imagine. I can't
crazy,
really
right? Back in
imagine
the
now.
day,
Yeah,
how
people
the hell they
were
did that?
more developed, I guess. I don't know. They were not using drugs, you know. That's
They
why.
were
They're not using drugs,
definitely,
that's why, man.
yo, they
Yeah.
had an energy that does
Yeah.
not meet today's standards. They definitely did not
Yeah,
have
bro.
THC
I
Yeah,
think
back
we
then.
became very lazy now with this
yeah. We're eating
civilized
lots of
society.
trash. We're eating lots of trash.
I mean, trust me,
Industry stuff.
it's all about the diet, the technology.
Yeah.
It all just made us. Why would we do this? Hell no! Because back in
Yeah.
the day, they had to travel miles and miles and miles for
Yeah.
spices, for meat, for all kinds of
Hmm.
Bro, look at the
ability to trade.
pyramids. Look at the pyramids, how they were built back in the days, back in the days, bro. Long
Way
time
back,
ago, bro.
beginning of
Long way,
mankind,
Yeah.
almost.
bro.
It's
Wow.
so funny because I have actually a colleague who is from Egypt, and it's just funny for me because this about this country I only heard in movies and saw in movies, and all these programs that there is in ancient Egypt and pyramids,
Yeah.
etc. And he joined like 3 weeks ago, and I was like surprised. Wow, I mean that's him from Egypt. it's it's
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine because like I think especially for people from my country because we don't really travel that much, and if you travel it's mostly neighboring countries or Turkey because it's easy to get.
Hmm.
And being raised in a place when you travel first time at the age of 21 only to Moscow, it's hard. It's for me it's very surprising in a good way that, oh my God, I can meet here people from Egypt and from any other
Yeah.
country. But being in Europe, of course, in my home country, I would probably not meet people from Egypt.
Mm. No, for sure. Budapest is incredibly international.
Yeah.
Insanely
Yeah.
international. You meet people from everywhere. Again, it's a very popular place for people to study abroad,
Hmm.
to have these exchange experiences. So
Yeah.
it is, I would say, maybe one of the best places in Europe. to experience
And
Mhm.
also,
of
it's
Europe.
a strategic place.
Content.
Like if you see, it's in the
Very
center
center.
of the west
Yes.
and also the east. So yeah,
Yes.
it's the place where people meet, from the east and from the west. So
Yes.
yeah,
Getting a
very
Flix bus
strategic.
is easy.
Yeah.
Trains, even planes if you want to fly with
Mhm.
Ryanair or any low cost airline. It's
So
incredibly
you've
good.
been here in Budapest, right?
I was there
Been
one
twice.
day.
One day. Okay, you need to
One
spend
day.
more.
But
Yeah, I've been two
I know
times there.
I want to try to live there actually. I think I would appreciate it more if I lived there because it's a city that really fascinates me and interests me in terms of like
Mhm.
living there, not just visiting, getting
Yeah,
into the
it has
culture and
special
everything.
culture, so you need to
Yeah.
spend time here to
Yeah,
understand it.
that's the thing. That's the thing for sure. But it is incredibly beautiful. Very, very beautiful.
I agree.
For sure.
People from this podcast will think that I'm a very drunker guy. I do drink a lot, but not this way. I say during the podcast. But I went 2 times in Budapest, and I was drinking lots of palinkas, and I was
Oh,
drunk, of course. So the nightlife there was very wild for me. So wow, amazing!
yeah.
One of the best moments of my life was there in Budapest.
Wow.
I've been to a place there. I will mistake the name right now. Simpla.
Simpla.
Simpla,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
wow, amazing place. So it's a
Nice.
kind of place like very open place with lots of bar inside, and the architecture there is amazing, very alternative,
Mm.
and you can listen lots of songs. Like you just choose the room that you want to spend,
Oh
and
wow.
then yeah, you
Hmm.
totally different types of songs right there.
It's a kind
And
of ruin bar.
Ruin Bar, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I wanted to
It's
reach. That's
one
the
of the
Ruins Bar.
popular
Wow,
places
very popular,
here.
very nice.
That's
And
also like something that I was thinking, just talking about is like the nightlife, how different it is obviously from your own country to then getting into
yeah,
Budapest and
nice
it's
question.
these crazy, clubs, crazy clubs,
Yeah,
international
Budapest
people
is crazy.
Yeah.
inside them and being outside as well because people party just like in Croatia outside in Budapest with their beers and everything in their hands. How was
It's
this like once you got into Budapest and saw that?
yeah,
What
it
was the
was
shock?
very different. The thing is the key difference, I think, it's freedom
Mm.
because here in Europe, I mean, it's totally different concept of being at nightclub than at home. At home, for example, it's more kind of I can't say civilized way, but it's more like VIP that you need to dress up, face control and dress code and all this nice
Uh,
stuff that you need to put on. Otherwise, you're not allowed to go to a nightclub without all this, and you might not be able to go in if. And it's a lot of show off on honestly.
Oh,
very fun.
okay.
Yeah, and here it's more like free. It's more simple. You don't need
No.
to put anything. Yeah, the big difference was that how we dress up.
Yeah.
And here you just go. If you just I don't know, if you're going to the market on the way, you can just go into bar or into club, dance and go home. So it's very simple and you don't need to worry about anything.
Uh,
The music also, that you have this ruin bar, we don't have that concept at all. People there are like more for beauty, for this cool stuff. And here it's,
To
I think,
show
because
up.
of the yes, and here I think because it's more diverse, people don't really care who you
oh no, you
are. I mean,
People
not who
just
you
want to
are,
have
but what
fun.
you dress.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
you
don't
can get
care.
into a club with flip-flops, that's for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly. And they don't care how you look or what you wear, and they just want to enjoy their time. And I think that's the biggest difference, and that's what I enjoy here actually. That you don't need to worry about anything.
Pretty
Hmm.
So
cool.
it's totally different, I would say.
Yeah, it comes from diversity,
Hmm.
I would say, like in cultures. Because again, it's hard to please everyone, so just nobody cares.
Yes.
Whereas, whereas in Kyrgyzstan, it's like, okay, we have this club. If you don't go with these tie and with these pants and with these shoes, you
Hmm.
will not come in because you'll be an embarrassment. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit on that, I think, which is sad, again, but you got to experience now
Hmm.
in Budapest this new way of partying.
Yeah.
So for you, when you go back, you're like, oh, you have to come to your friends and maybe still be there. Experience
Yeah.
this crazy life. You don't have to take pants You can
Yeah,
go in shorts to a
exactly.
club.
I think
Imagine that. No
I think
makeup on.
exactly. I think with this attitude, like here, I wouldn't be also able to go into the club in home. I mean, at home country, because again, you need to dress up, etc. So probably they wouldn't allow me to go in.
Amazing. So, guys, we're coming to an end of our podcast. It's been very fast, this podcast.
Oh,
We could
that's
have
so
been
pity.
talking for hours. We
Yeah.
could have been talking for hours. What an amazing guest we had during this podcast. But before we finish it up, Guilherme, we do the casting. He does every single episode. So feel free, buddy. The microphone is open for you. That's your chance.
Okay, I am back because my internet was down for like 5 seconds.
Not
So
a
I
word.
didn't hear last minute, but I'm back. So yeah, thank you so much, Anara. Like you are very well spoken. I will give you that. Very well
Definitely.
spoken. So thank you for sharing everything that you said on this podcast and coming to our platform again to diminish the stereotypes that people might have
Mhm.
about this area, not just your country, but this whole area of Central Asia, and yeah, culturing them and informing them about everything. So yeah, we always end our podcast with an open-ended question,
Mhm.
and that question is, what is the thing that makes you the most proud about being from Kyrgyzstan? Like what is like the thing that you would say to people, especially when you went to Budapest and you would
Yeah,
introduce yourself? What was the thing that followed after you said you were from this country,
biggest stuff.
Kyrgyzstan? You
The
know.
biggest thing that I am proud of. Um, despite the things that some of the traditions I don't really like and I don't really
Mhm.
follow, but
Mm,
I think I would still be proud of my culture and my traditions because let me give an example example of the respect. There at that region, we really respect people who are older, who we don't know, we just meeting first time, for example, and especially elders who it doesn't matter in the family or in the bus. We always like try to respect them, give them a seat, trying to say because in our language we have like formal when we say you. It's not like in English. There is just you. In
mm,
our language, we have like you for older people and not in informal for those who you already know. So I really like that kind of aspects of my culture and of my of the traditions. And some of them I would really even share to my children wherever they are, because
mhm.
that's what makes us Kyrgyz people, those who are very hospitable, very nice, very kind, those who will share the last food with foreigner,
Mm.
but still trying to be simple, open, and very kind and welcome. So that's the thing I'm really proud of.
100%.
What
Yeah,
an
it's
amazing answer.
it's having manners, as you said. It's a very
Yeah.
Manners, yes.
mannered country, if that's an expression. But yeah,
I
it's
like the
people with
word
manners.
manner, yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
for sure. I love it.
And how to be a
Yeah.
polite,
Thank you.
the polite stuff
Hmm.
and that stuff.
Yeah, even for example, how you sit in in the house, like on the table, that the oldest always sit on the on the very not front, but at the very top of the
Mm.
table.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
if you sit some guest at the very end, it will be very disrespectful. So this kind of things, it's not really maybe that not that important, but in my culture, it's a sign of respect. So for a guest, he always needs to sit at the top of the table and always needs to be served first. I think these little gestures, that's what make us different from different countries, right? And from different people. So
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
I love
and
that.
thanks for the question. It's really awesome question.
We do
Yeah,
every single episode this question,
I
but
of
I
course.
I,
we
I just missed my home
yeah,
once.
very
Once.
nostalgic. Yeah, brought you
Yeah,
back
Very
well,
this
yeah.
nostalgic.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
Now you
amazing.
pretty
have
much.
Nomad Games 2024, baby.
2024,
Yeah,
buddy.
Kyrgyzstan.
That's it.
I want to
you
see that
should you
ship
should
game.
try. Yeah, you should
I would
try.
love
I
that.
100%.
think
I would
you would like it.
100%. I
Yeah,
would
and
be into that
let me know if you go there. I might
I'd
suggest
love
some
to watch it.
places.
I'd love to watch it. Excellent.
for sure.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was really awesome. I mean, I
Ah,
didn't
we
expect
appreciate it.
it would be really this kind of fun and
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very warming, despite
Oh,
the
pretty cool.
some sad stories or sad facts, but it was really awesome to
No,
to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
talk
No,
about
the
the
whole
country,
the whole
about
episode
myself.
was pretty warm. I mean, the connection we brought
Important, important
during
for
this
sure.
podcast was pretty cool. And Nara, thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Thank
accepting
you.
the invitation. First of all, nice to meet you. We
Nice to
wish
meet you
you lots
too.
of lucky right there in Budapest, and we
Thank
wish you
you.
to visit more your country, go there and eat some horse meat, go to the Nomad Games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely on my bucket list right now, getting to know about this country. So you did a
Sure.
really good part of of trying to connect foreigners for your country. So you did the job right. So you actually convinced me to put on my bucket list your
Thanks.
country. So
Yeah, please, you're always welcome. I hope, yeah, the other people will be the same hospitable like me. So yeah,
really nice,
always
Awesome.
welcome.
pretty cool. And Guilherme, once again, thank you for being with me during this
Of
podcast.
course. And
Thank you
I
so
hope
much, man.
everyone, you guys, you enjoyed listening to this episode. And
Mm,
of course, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcast WWP. Check our YouTube channel. We
As
have video
well.
there. You can be so comfortable just watching us there. Again, it's at Podcast WWP or just searching Worldwide Podcast on YouTube and the name of the country. And thank you so much for watching. And before we go, I just say if you ever visit Kyrgyzstan, be careful with the avalanches. They are dangerous. Do
Yeah.
not feel them. Run. Just run.
It's
Just
wrong, buddy.
Yeah.
Go,
Don't
run.
wait and record. Record while running.
Don't even try. They look far away, but they will get you.
Yeah.
So I'll see you guys at the next episode in the next week. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.